Hello everybody and welcome to the second part of What If Naruto Left Konoha with his Uzumaki uncle. I hope you enjoy this What If. Also don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest episodes. ch2 Finding Naruto. Kenshi rushed through the hospital furiously, stepping with increased aggression and anger from each passing thought. I can't believe what she told me. They treated him like trash all his life and all he ever did was help them. When Kage hears about this, hell is going to be unleashed. The nurses and staff that ran into him immediately backed off from the killer intent he was giving off, each cowering like ants before the man. His blade glowed with the same hostility the man showed, as it made the white walls of the hospital turn blood red. The feelings inside the man couldn't be measured, so much anger, regret could also be felt. Then again, emotions are wild, and his were flying in each direction. Sounds that rang through the building were either curses at his name or his armor clattering. Each step giving off a metal ring across the building. Turning to the sides, he began to gaze at the doors, reading the room number quickly before moving on. Checking each door with a hardened look, making sure the number was right before moving on. Eventually he began to run through the hallway, blazing past each door. He looked at each door with a concern on his face, hope draining with each wrong number. 234, 235, 236, where is it? Frustration and anxiety also showed in abundance. This was just one building. How hard could it be to find one person? Not that anyone within the building was anything close to cooperative. He turned a corner to be met with a long hallway and an ANBU wearing a cat mask. The ANBU had been waiting, but from the look of it there were no traps set, foolish but honorable. The ninja already had a short sword drawn. The way the ANBU stood said that he was trained in the blade, but not as much as he was. Kenshi lived by the sword, this man just accepted it. This man, whoever he was trained in the shinobi arts, but not put to the test as he had. Not in the sense to take a life, but to truly face death, and laugh in its face. The ninja could feel it too, the power difference, already knowing that Kenshi's power was at his level, but he continued to hold his ground and spoke cleanly. Who are you? Kenshi glared at him with killer intent, one that would have made a normal ninja submit from the force of it. The ANBU did take a step back but held his ground as the enemy ninja continued to walk forward, but at a slower pace. His voice was deep and commanding. Move. What village are you from? Move. The ANBU shook his head, all right, knowing that this was a losing battle. But no god, nor man would ever doubt his will of fire. So heart set and blade raised to face the man, he spoke cleanly. I am going to have to take you in. Holding out his blade, the ninja tried to move forward but his body didn't respond. All he could make out was a red flash before the sensation began. A burning ran through his chest, as the intent within the hall grew, more dangerous with each second. Vision was darkening, as well as the sounds deafening. This was bad for him, the ANBU knew. Kenshi moved quickly, grabbing his back and helping him onto the ground as the pain grew worse for the ANBU. Helping him down did ease some of the pain, but did nothing to slow its movement through his body. Kenshi spoke cleanly, already seeing distress and anger in the ninja's eyes. I told you to move. You won't die, we are in a hospital. Coughing, he muttered a curse towards Kenshi, which the man ignored for his sake. Feeling his chest, red ooze slipped from a slit across his chest. For a moment he marveled at his speed. How this man could have slipped this past him while his entire attention was focused on the single person, it was almost impossible. The armored ninja hurried back the way he came, seeing a nurse and doctor still slightly cowering near a corner. Stopping for a moment, he felt a few high chakra signatures outside the building. Someone must have warned the local ninja of his presence. They were hurrying to the area fast, covering the hospital with each second. Making a quick motion with his sword, the two followed him to the ANBU, who was still holding his chest in the stinging pain. Help him. The two nodded, picking him up and carried him inside one of the rooms to his left. The ANBU could barely make out Kenshi's face now. It was strange, the man's face seemed so familiar, they might have met a long time ago. A face flashed through his mind. It wasn't the same as this man but similar in almost all cases, but its name could not be spoken for he was already through the door. Kenshi ran again, looking at the room numbers, each one blazing past his mind as the correct one stood out. 240, 241, yes. 242. He stopped at the door, his hand wavering over the handle. This was his moment, the one he had longed for, For so long he wanted this. But why the hesitation? Why the sudden stop? He was afraid, unlikely. Thoughts ran through his mind, each as unlikely of what to do as the next. It had been about 15 years, what was he going to do, what to say? If anything, he should start with an explanation. With a fierce determination he gripped the handle and opened the door. Eno sighed loudly, catching the attention of the two she was with, unfortunately for them. The slight worry on her face showed as Eno spoke, "All I am saying is that we should have went after him." Shikamaru rubbed his temples for what seemed to be the 10th time. She just couldn't let this stranger go. Like she was fixated on the man. Sure, he was good looking, but come on, Eno. Just leave him alone. We don't know what he wants with Naruto, and he is guarded by Hinata and an ANBU as well, so just leave it be. She turned to Shikamaru and pouted, realizing he was right. Changing the subject to another part, but yet similar. "So did he seem familiar to you guys?" A glare from Shikamaru caught her eye, but surprisingly Choji nodded, munching on a few potato chips that he brought a while back. Even while stuffing his face, the ninja managed a few words. "Good thing I wasn't the only one." "Who did he look like?" Shikamaru sighed, putting his hands behind his head and staring up at the clouds above them. "Pure white, but disperse." Something he once read said that this was a sign of coming change. But throwing that out of his mind, he responded towards the question, "How am I supposed to know? I wasn't staring at his face." Eno glared at her teammate but continued walking anyway. They noticed the glares they got from most of the villagers as they made their way to the gates, each hateful and directed mainly at Shikamaru and Eno. Choji turned with a little worry towards his friends. He knew what had happened, but he was worried on how it affected his two friends. Along with his, both of their faces seemed to project uneasiness with the villagers. It wasn't easy, but it was right what they did. They couldn't just leave Naruto like that. Could have they even called themselves human if they did? Could they even accept themselves as true shinobi? Then why were the villagers giving them harsh looks? It just didn't make sense, all this hate for one boy. Finally breaking the small silence, Choji put another chip within the maw that is his mouth. "Why do they treat him like this? I mean, I wasn't exactly kind to him as a kid either, but not like this." Shikamaru turned to his friend and placed a hand on his shoulder, trying to ease some of the large ninja's stress. "I am trying to find that out. But it is becoming more troublesome than it is worth. This place likes its secrets." Truth was, he did. He searched all he could using his Chunin status. And then some using other methods. But nothing, nada, no records on anything peculiar about Naruto Uzumaki. The only thing that was slightly wrong was a change in his blood pressure when he set the record for eating over 50 bowls of ramen, then had to be rushed to a hospital. But along with that there was no clear birth certificate. Well, there was, but both of his parents' names were scribbled out, then cast over with genjutsu, which Shikamaru had found out that they were fake names. He hadn't the heart to ask his father or mother, what would they think, sneaking into the Hokage library to look for info on a hated individual. Not at all like the lazy son they once knew. But even now he wanted to look, to keep on trying. Something had to be there. Anything, not just to give Naruto hope but to provide answers that no one else seemed to hold. Eno turned to her teammates, with sadness in her eyes and voice. "He seems like a nice guy if you get to know him. He shouldn't be treated like this." All the glares, hate, something must have happened that they are not telling us. They all nodded, taking this information in. Each trying to make use of it in their own way. Looking upwards, they finally found the village gates. Still busy and with incoming and outgoing civilians and ninja. One thing that slightly caught them by surprise was their sensei running up to meet them. The man was slightly lazy, but this wasn't that odd. The odd thing was the two blades held within his hands, and cigarette missing from hand and mouth. Something was wrong. If that didn't show it, his face certainly did. A mixture between confusion, neutrality, and anger. The three were instantly ready at whatever Asuma had to say. They needed to blow off some steam anyway. Maybe a good fight could do this. The sensei finally reaching the group, he first seemingly checked the area quickly before Asuma turned to the trio, his voice saying to hurry, "Have any of you seen a man with red hair and armor?" Shikamaru spoke up, already knowing that his prediction had come true. "Yeah, what had happened?" Kakashi ran into him. He left a ANBU bleeding with a massive cut to his chest. "We may need your help, but keep it silent. We don't want a village-wide panic." The three nodded, already ready for where they needed to go as they followed their sensei into the village. Damn. Kenshi stared at the empty room with a dejected look, feeling as if hope had left him. This was the correct room, he could feel a familiar chakra grace the room. But it was long gone. But that did mean that he was here, maybe there was a clue. He looked around the room as to look for any signs of Naruto being there. Noticing a few things that was different with the room. First, the amount of instant ramen cups were insane, the kid must have an addiction or something. Second was a fairly large green-toed wallet sitting next to the bed, still full of Rio. What kind of person leaves his wallet? It's just irresponsible. Finally, a seal sat next to the bed, possibly something to read. Picking it up and unraveling it, the scroll got insanely complicated, resembling something like a summoning contract. Does Naruto have a contract with what looks like toads? Oh, great Jiraiya, I remember you, thanks for finally showing up. Taking another look around the room, he noticed a small indent in the chair next to the bed, as if a person sat there not a moment before. Either someone has been here a while or they just left not too long ago. They could be close. Before leaving, Kenshi grabbed a clipboard by the bed as he noticed a picture on it, a small one, but enough. A smile graced his face at the picture. It was a boy with spiky blonde hair, whisker marks, and a giant scowl on his face, covered in white makeup with red swirls on his cheeks. Takes after his father on looks. But I highly doubt the white is natural. Well, if in any case it is better than nothing. Maybe a few people can see through this mess and show me the right way towards him. Quickly tearing the picture out of the medical report and headed out the door, quietly closing it behind him. Continuing to look at the picture, he smiled, feeling as if he had finally done his duty. Nothing could ruin this moment, well until a voice spoke in reality, hello. Kenshi turned around to be met with a peculiar-looking man. Gravity-defying silver hair, a small book in his right hand, angled headband. In an instant he was recognized, this ninja was famous in more lands than just this one. This man has been on the bingo book more than once, maybe he can help, Kakashi of the Sharingan Eye, am I right? Kakashi nodded as Kenshi held out the picture, have you seen this boy recently? Kakashi made a quick mental note that he was searching for Naruto. He had encountered the injured Anbu a few rooms back. Knowing that this man was fast, extremely fast to get past Tenzo and majorly injure him. Several thoughts on why he wanted Naruto raced through his mind, but one stood out, the fox. But if anything, it was his duty to not let this man get to him. If not for being a sensei, then for not being there, when he should have. Placing the book away in his pocket, Kakashi already figured that his full attention would need to be on this one, I don't know but you are coming with me. Kakashi's own face turned at Kenshi's, turning to own of confusion, as if he had done something wrong. Excuse me. He readied his Sharingan, holding his left hand at the base of his protector, ready to lift it at a moment's notice. Kakashi's voice was calm but his aura was not, he could quickly feel this man's chakra becoming increasingly dark, as much as it already was, you assaulted a ANBU member and for that you need to be brought before the Hokage for punishment. Kenshi held up his hands apologetically, shrugging and giving a grin that seemed too big for his head, he attacked me first. But anyway I don't have time for this so, bye. Kakashi activated his Sharingan as Kenshi glowed for a moment and disappeared before his eyes, not even vanishing within a smoke ball, almost in a flash of red. This was becoming bad, if he had an ability to transport himself almost like the fourth he could become dangerous if he wasn't already. He needed to warn Naruto, he should need to know that this man may be coming for him. Putting his Sharingan away within his protector, he headed for the exit to the hospital, hoping to find Naruto before this man did. Naruto walked through this village now out of his hospital robe and back in his jumpsuit, how he loved the orange. True, sore was the lightest feeling he had, but it was great not being in a room covered with white and only his summoning contract to read. He turned to the two behind him, one pressing her fingers together, the other walking on a leg brace and smiling as well with glee. Naruto didn't know how Lee had managed to get out of the hospital without the doctors noticing, but here he was. Rock Lee, a nice guy if you forget that he is a spitting image of Might Guy, Naruto could bet he was his secret father or something. But he was a fair-skinned person, black hair cut in the bowl shape like Guy's, massive black squares for eyebrows, and huge onyx eyes. He wore at all times a green jumpsuit, with orange leg warmer that hid a surprising amount of weights inside them. His protector was also fashioned around his waist like a belt. The only arguable difference between the two outfits are the bandages that Lee wears around his hands and wrists. Naruto first turned to Hinata, giving her a large smile. "Hinata-chan, you don't know how much I wanted to get out of that place." She smiled while walking with him. After some arguing on Naruto's part, they were able to walk around the village without being in trouble. The girl at first was seriously worried about the condition Naruto was in, but he had healed at a ridiculous rate. Only a day and his chakra levels were back to normal, and almost all injuries were either minor or gone completely. Of course, Naruto knew the reason why this was, but failed to divulge the information. He only hoped to keep it secret for a while longer. Hinata blushed as she watched the sun hit her crush's face. It seemed to give him an unnatural glow. It wasn't fair. Naruto turned back to her, with a small amount of worry in his eyes. "You alright, Hinata-chan? You look really red." In other cases this is when she would have ran for cover, but he need her now. She knew that. "No, Naruto-kun, I am fine." "What about you?" Bushy brows holding up. Lee smiled, the sun hitting his teeth, giving it almost a gleaming look. "Of course, Naruto-kun, I couldn't be better. They were about to reset my leg today, and as much as I would love to get back onto the field, that would involve them giving me morphine or some type of shot. I don't like needles." "Are you sure? It doesn't sound like they would need to do that." "I am taking no chances with needles. And you know what happens when I get, well, woozy." Naruto nodded, hearing the stories on how Lee defeated the ninja that could use bones for weapons. The part where Gaara came in to help was a little cool, but the best part was Lee mistaking an elixir for alcohol. Apparently there is no better drunk fighter than Mr. Rock Lee. His vocal cords and stomach hurt after he had laughed so long. Lee was slightly embarrassed at the mix-up, but found a secret power. Even while drunk he could kick the crap out of just about anyone. After the thought had left his head and he returned to reality and continued on his way, accepting that Lee wasn't going back anytime soon. Hinata continued to walk with the group, happily content that she was able to spend time with Naruto, but as they continued she noticed the multiple glares and curses thrown at Naruto as they made their way through the village. Why do they treat Naruto-kun like this? It doesn't seem fair. He is the nicest person I know. Naruto turned towards Hinata, quickly noticing her solemn look and quickly deducing with his ninja-like abilities what she needed. "Hey, are you alright? Did you want to get something to eat?" Hinata felt her world go blank. "Go get something to eat? Is he asking me out?" The blonde turned away quickly, some embarrassment flying into his mind. "If you don't want to, that's alright." "No, I mean yes, I would like to get something." Naruto grinned, making Hinata blush as he grabbed her hand. "Ichiraku, here we come. Come on, Lee." Hinata sighed quietly. "Oh well, if it is with Naruto-kun, I don't really care." Nodding quickly, Lee caught up to the two, one in a daydream while the other couldn't wait at the prospect of more ramen. Although it was slightly hard for the one with a brace to keep up, he wasn't going to lose his friends because of a flimsy piece of plastic. Hinata's daydreaming stopped when Kakashi landed in front of the two. His book was away and his chakra level was at a high level. Something was wrong. Lee and Hinata both caught this as their moods started to match the sensei's, but Naruto was about oblivious to this as one could get. "Oh hey Kakashi-sensei, what's up?" Kakashi turned to face Naruto, his eyes telling that he was nothing less than serious. "Naruto, do you know a man with red hair, carries a sword and wears armor?" "No, I don't really know anyone by that description. Almost sounds like you are describing a samurai or something." Kakashi quickly shook his head at the boy's daftness and idiocy but kept it to himself. "I am not describing a samurai, Naruto. I am describing a high-level ninja that is in the leaf now. He is dangerous." "Wait, you saw him?" Kakashi nodded. "He took out a ANBU with one hit and disappeared before I could capture him. He used some type of jutsu to get away. Which is why I need to warn you guys about him. Be on your guard. We are on alert. Be careful. Hinata, Lee, can you help guard Naruto?" The two of them nodded as Kakashi sped off again, into the rooftops of the leaf. I wonder who he was talking about. And Naruto-kun. He must have been powerful to take out an ANBU. Lee agreed. If Kakashi-san was worried, then we must be on guard, and ANBU are not taken out so quickly or easily. Naruto grinned, one too big for his face. "Don't worry, we will kick his ass if we need to, right?" She giggled at his comment but froze immediately and stared behind Naruto, her eyes wide. "Found you." Tsunade held her head. This is not what she needed today. already working overtime for Naruto's injuries than the council worrying about Sasuke. And of course that required the top medical care for the ninja, and that included her as the Hokage. But if she got within 5 feet of the boy, he would have been hit so hard that Kumo would find his body. Her day had been nothing less than hectic, then this had to come up. Now in the Hokage office, a medium-sized room with a large front desk and scattered with papers and scrolls, behind her was a giant window of the leaf. In front of her was Genma, one of her top ninja that was seriously disappointing her right now. Shizun to the left side of Tsunade, her eyes slightly showing worry for the man as Tsunade's anger increased. Placing her hands on the front desk, her voice rang with anger and power. So you are telling me this guy just walking in without anyone questioning him, even though he had a sword on him? Then got directions from one of my ninja teams and took out a ANBU with one hit, then proceeded to evade Kakashi in a blink of an eye. Genma sighed knowing that there was no way out of this. A man with light brown hair, fair skin, brown eyes, a regular jounin outfit similar to Kakashi or Asuma, and a bandana wrapped around his head, also holding his protector. His trademark accessory, a piece of hay that stuck out of his mouth, moved as he began to speak. That does about wrap it up. But funny thing, he took Naruto's picture from his room and was spotted by Kakashi searching through it. Do we have someone on the gaki? He nodded, pulling out another file. That Hyuga girl is with him, along with Lee Rock. Tsunade slammed her hand on the desk. That's it, that is all the protection we have on him. Find him now. Why don't we have more people on him in the first place? The council advised that Kami damn council. Find him now. Genma quickly retreated out of the room, not wanting to witness Tsunade's anger, even dropping the piece of hay in his mouth in his haste. A loud smash of a bottle could be heard as it hit the spot where Genma once stood. Tsunade held her head and turned to Shizun. Let's go. Shizun shook her head. What do you mean? I am going to go search for the brat. What does it look like? Found you. Naruto turned around to be met with the man that Kakashi described. Silver armor, red hair, blue eyes, he was dangerous, Kakashi-sensei said, yet he looked sad. He seemed off, almost surprised and sad at the same time. By Kami, you almost look like your mother, then again the hair doesn't help, nor the face. Kenshi stared after the boy. What has he been doing here all this time? A million thoughts raced through his mind. The object, no, person he had been searching for was only a few feet from him. What could he have felt? A sense of accomplishment. That was all too foreign to him. No, it was something else, something he couldn't really place. Kenshi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, and in a reflex backed away, not of fright, but of maybe shock. In a burst of speed, Hinata stood in front of her crush and activated her bloodline. His chakra flared a little, just to scare the girl and hopefully make her back down. But as his chakra level reached the limit in where the ANBU felt fear, this child didn't. It was obvious, she would have protected Naruto with her life. Not once showing fear as the man's chakra continued to grow, she never backed down. Her voice powerful and without any hesitation or room for argument, you will not hurt Naruto-kun. Lee followed immediately afterwards, stepping into his taijutsu stance of one arm behind his back and the other outstretched, facing his opponent. This boy, he was not inexperienced, even with the cast on his leg he looked slightly dangerous. Already telling by the taijutsu stance that wasn't all too familiar to him, and the fact that along with the girl he never backed down from Kenshi. These two held promise, guts, that was something he admired in coming ninja. Kenshi held his sword, already knowing that he shouldn't fight children, but he needed to get to Naruto, whatever the costs. At least disable them. He didn't want to kill today. I don't want to hurt you. I just want Naruto, he needs to come with me. Naruto placed a hand on Hinata's shoulder, easing her a little, his voice held confusion and curiosity. Why? Kenshi kneeled, placing a hand on his shoulder, and looking into his eyes. It was a funny thing for Naruto, he could have sworn that this guy's eyes were the same as his if you looked closely. That was pretty weird. The man spoke again, this time his tone was calmer, more understanding. What did they tell you of your family? Why should I tell you? I knew them. I knew your mother for around half my life, your father since he was dating her. I knew them both. I would like to fill in the gaps that they didn't tell you. That is all I want to do, and maybe something else, a gift I have to give you if you are interested after our talk. I know I don't have much to prove my claim, but from what I am hearing from the village, not that many people told you about your family or where you came from, period. If you would like, I can tell you. The blonde ninja considered his words. He was true, no one told him of his parents, and if he was telling the truth, what he could learn. What his mother was like, what his father looked like. This man possibly held the answers he had been looking for his entire life. Turning behind him, he saw Lee slightly wavering in his stance and Hinata's bloodline vanish. Maybe they were staring to believe him too. Hinata gave a quick glance towards Naruto, mentally telling him that he wasn't lying, chakra signatures never do. So sighing, he began to speak, not much. They were heroes in the Great Ninja War and they died there. The third gave me this jacket. He said that the swirl was a symbol that they wore. Besides that, not anything really. Kenshi bit down on his tongue to keep himself from lashing out at the villagers. Naruto stared into his blue eyes with wonder and slight puzzlement. Do you know my family? Kenshi nodded silently. Can you tell me who they were? Kenshi nodded again as he closely inspected the two beside Naruto. What immediately caught his attention was the girl's pupilless eyes. A Hyuga, I think. By the way she protected Naruto, she seems to have some type of relationship with him. The boy also seemed ready to protect him, and that stance isn't all too familiar to me. Looks like he made friends. Did you want to bring them along? Naruto turned to Hinata as she blushed a little and tried to hide herself, and Lee now out of his stance. Yeah, they are my friends and I trust them both, almost with my life. Hinata's eyes grew. He trusts me that much? I must mean something to him. The man smiled, clasping his hands together. By the way, my name is Kenshi, now let's dash dot. Where do you think you are going? Kenshi's smile wavered as he was surrounded by ninja in an instant. Some were the team he met a while ago, Kakashi, and the person he was sure was Hokage, due by the nature of her voice and the way others seemed to group around her, also those kids that he met in the front of the village. Great. Others were there but it didn't matter. The villagers that were in the area quickly ran away from the impending battle, not wanting to be caught in the crossfire. Kenshi had hoped that he wouldn't have to fight, but if he had to, nothing would stand in his way. He stood up, slowly unsheathing his blade as the sun hit the blade, making look even more deadly, the metal ringing across the street. His chakra also changed, it was powerful now, matching Tsunade at this rate. Naruto comes with me. Fear shot through Tsunade's body as she stood her ground. His chakra is insane, but I will not let this happen. Tsunade stood in front of the man, her eyes showing pride and confidence. Over my dead body. The joking aura was gone from Kenshi's form as he spoke the next sentence. That can be arranged. As he brought his crimson sword up for attack, Naruto gripped Kenshi's arm. Stop, don't hurt them. Kenshi nodded. As much as he wanted to cut into these people for ruining his life, he put away his sword. The others didn't, however. They knew the man could be dangerous and kept up their defensive stances. Ready to strike, but the man seemed to listen to Naruto, for now, but for whatever reason it escaped them. Shikamaru sighed. Good thing Naruto calmed him down. His chakra level was beyond the Hokage's and he didn't even start fighting yet. If he actually got serious, I'm not sure if even the all of us together could have beaten him. Naruto turned to Tsunade with a slight sadness in his eyes. He knows who my parents were. To say the ninja were shocked was an understatement. Kakashi slowly put down his hand that held his Sharingan. He knew who Minato-sensei was. How? Tsunade turned to him with the same shocked expression as the others around her. How? My full name is Kenshi Uzumaki.